I was wiping grease off my hands at the auto shop when my father-in-law, Raj, stormed in. His face was red, eyes cold. "You're fired, Vikram," he barked. "You're not good enough for my daughter or my business." I stood there, stunned. I'd worked for him for 3 years, pouring my heart into his shop, fixing cars until my fingers bled, all to prove I was worthy of his daughter, Neha. Before I could respond, he walked out. That night, Neha was waiting at our apartment. "I can't do this anymore," she said, her voice flat. "You're holding me back." She packed a bag and left, no explanation, no goodbye. I sat on the couch, numb. My job, my marriage, gone in a day. I checked my phone, hoping for a text, an apology. Nothing. Then I found a letter from Raj, slipped under the door. "You were never one of us." Rage burned in my chest, but so did a spark of something else, determination. They thought they knew me, a small-town guy with no degree, no connections. They had no idea who I really was. I wasn't just a mechanic. I'd been tinkering with tech since I was a kid, building apps in secret, dreaming of something bigger. That night, I opened my laptop. If they wanted to crush me, I'd show them what I could do. I wasn't broken, I was just getting started. I moved into a tiny studio, barely affording rent with my savings. Jobless and alone, I turned to my old passion, coding. I'd taught myself to build apps as a teen, but Raj always dismissed it as playing on computers. Now, it was my lifeline. I started working on an app idea, a platform to connect car owners with trusted mechanics, cutting out greedy shop owners like Raj. I called it Fix Easy. I coded all night, fueled by coffee and anger. During the day, I took freelance gigs, small websites, basic apps, to pay the bills. My first version of Fix Easy was rough, but I posted it online for beta testers. To my surprise, mechanics loved it. They were tired of being underpaid by shops like Raj's. Within weeks, I had 100 users. I kept improving the app, adding features like real-time quotes and reviews. A local mechanic, Sanjay, became my first supporter, spreading the word. He'd say, "Vikram, this could change everything." I believed him. But every milestone reminded me of Neha and Raj. I saw their faces in my mind, mocking me. I didn't want their pity, I wanted their regret. I worked harder, skipping meals, sleeping 4 hours a night. Fix Easy hit 1,000 users. A tech blog noticed, calling it a game-changer for auto repair. That was my first taste of success, but I was just warming up. They'd see who I really was. 6 months later, Fix Easy had 5,000 users. I was still a one-man show, coding in my cramped studio. Then I got an email from a startup incubator. They'd seen the blog post and wanted me to pitch at their annual event. I was nervous, me, a guy with no fancy degree, pitching to rich investors? But I went. I told my story, fired by my father-in-law, abandoned by my wife, building Fix Easy to empower mechanics like me. The room was silent, then erupted in applause. 2 investors offered $50,000 to scale the app. I took it, stunned. With the money, I hired a small team, a designer and 2 coders. We revamped Fix Easy, making it sleeker, faster. Mechanics could now book jobs directly, and customers loved the transparency. The app hit 20,000 users. I moved to a proper office, a tiny space with second-hand desks, but it felt like a palace. Sanjay joined as my advisor, helping me connect with mechanics across the city. Every download felt like a jab at Raj and Neha. I hadn't spoken to them, but I heard Raj's shop was struggling, customers were leaving for Fix Easy. Good. I wanted him to feel the sting. Then a bigger opportunity came, a national auto chain wanted to partner. They offered to integrate Fix Easy into their 200 stores. It was my ticket to go big, but I'd need to scale fast. I said yes, knowing the risk. This was my chance to show the world, and my ex-family, what I was made of. The partnership was a beast. I had to overhaul Fix Easy to handle thousands of daily bookings. My team worked around the clock, fixing bugs, adding features. I barely slept, but the app was thriving, 50,000 users and counting. The AutoChain CEO, Priya, became my mentor. "You're not just building an app," she said. "You're building a movement." She was right. Mechanics were earning more, customers were saving money, and shops like Raj's were losing ground. I heard his business was barely surviving. Part of me felt satisfied, but another part still hurt. Neha hadn't reached out, not once. I saw her posts on X, smiling at parties, living her best life. It fueled me. I pushed FixEasy harder, launching a marketing campaign with Sanjay's help. We made videos of mechanics sharing their stories, how FixEasy gave them freedom. The campaign went viral, and downloads doubled. I hired more staff, including a PR expert, Tara, who got us featured in a major tech magazine. They called me the underdog revolutionizing auto repair. I framed the article, but I didn't celebrate. I was too focused on the next goal, taking FixEasy national. I secured another $200,000 in funding, but the pressure was crushing. Deadlines, server crashes, and doubters tested me. Still, I kept going. Raj and Neha thought they'd broken me. They were wrong. I was building an empire, and they'd regret crossing me. A year after being fired, FixEasy was in 500 stores across the country. We had 100,000 users, and mechanics were calling me their hero. I moved to a sleek office downtown, with a team of 20. Tara got us on a national TV show, where I shared my story, minus the personal betrayal. The audience loved it. Downloads spiked to 200,000. I was making real money now, enough to buy a small apartment. But success didn't erase the past. I saw Raj at a gas station one day, looking worn out. His shop had closed, I'd heard. He avoided my eyes. I felt a mix of pity and triumph. Neha, meanwhile, posted about her new chapter on X, some fancy job in marketing. I didn't care. I was focused on FixEasy. Priya introduced me to a tech giant interested in acquiring the app for $5 million. It was tempting, but I said no. I wanted to build something bigger, something mine. Instead, I raised $1 million to go international. We launched in Canada, then the UK. Mechanics everywhere loved it. I started a foundation to train young mechanics, giving them tools and skills. It felt good to give back, but revenge still simmered. I wanted Raj and Neha to see my name everywhere, to know they'd underestimated me. I was planning a massive FixEasy event, a convention for mechanics and users. It would be my victory lap, and I'd make sure they heard about it. The FixEasy convention was my biggest gamble. We rented a convention center, invited 5,000 mechanics and customers, and flew in industry leaders. I spent weeks planning, barely sleeping. The day arrived, and it was electric, booths showcasing FixEasy, mechanics sharing success stories, live demos of the app. I gave the keynote, telling my journey, from a fired mechanic to a tech founder. I didn't mention Raj or Neha, but I didn't need to. The crowd's cheers were enough. The event trended on X, with hashtag FixEasy going viral. We hit 500,000 users that week. A major news outlet covered it, calling me the future of auto repair. I hired more staff to handle the growth, including Sanjay as my COO. He'd been with me from the start, and I trusted him like family. Speaking of family, I got a text from Neha that night, "Saw your event. Congrats." I didn't reply. Her words meant nothing now. Raj sent a letter, asking to meet. I ignored it. I was done with them. FixEasy was my focus, expanding to Europe, building new features like AI diagnostics. But the grind was taking a toll. I was 28, rich, successful, but alone. Tara noticed, inviting me for coffee. "You've won, Bikram," she said. "Now live a little." She was right. I started mentoring young coders, sharing my skills. It gave me purpose beyond revenge. But I wasn't done yet. I had one final move to make Raj and Neha see the cost of their betrayal. FixEasy went global, with 1 million users across 10 countries. I was invited to speak at a tech conference in Singapore, alongside industry giants. I told my story, focusing on empowering workers. The audience gave a standing ovation. Back home, I opened a training academy for mechanics, funded by FixEasy profits. Kids like me, small town, no degree, got a shot at a career. It felt better than any revenge. But revenge came anyway. Raj's old shop was now a FixEasy training center. I'd bought the building, turned it into something better. I didn't tell him, but word spread. Neha called, asking for a job. Her marketing gig had tanked. I said no, politely. I wasn't cruel, but I wasn't their doormat anymore. FixEasy was valued at $50 million now. I hired a CEO to handle daily operations, giving me time to dream bigger, an app for electric vehicle repairs. The industry was shifting, and I'd stay ahead. I started dating Tara, who'd become my rock. She reminded me to enjoy life, not just win it. One night, I saw Raj at a community event. He looked older, defeated. He apologized, tears in his eyes. I nodded but kept my distance. I'd forgiven enough to move on, but trust was gone. My focus was my future, new apps, new academies, new lives changed. I was no longer the guy they fired. I was Vikram, the man who built an empire from their betrayal. I launched FixEasy 2.0, with AI tools that predicted car issues before they happened. It was a hit, pushing our valuation to $100 million. I was on magazine covers, called the mechanic who outsmarted the industry. My training academies were in 5 cities, helping hundreds of kids. I'd built a legacy, but I wanted one final statement. I bought out the auto chain that partnered with Raj years ago. It was failing, and I turned it into a FixEasy hub, training mechanics and selling my tech. The irony was sweet, Raj's old allies now worked for me. I didn't rub it in, but I knew he'd hear. Neha emailed, asking to reconnect. She was struggling, living with her parents. I wished her well but kept my distance. My life was full, mentoring, innovating, building with Tara. We got engaged, planning a small wedding. My team threw a surprise party when FixEasy hit 2 million users. I looked around, at Sanjay, Tara, the young mechanics I'd trained, and felt complete. Revenge wasn't about hurting Raj or Neha, it was about outgrowing them. I'd done that. My next goal was a public stock offering. FixEasy was ready to go bigger, and I was ready to lead. The boy they'd discarded was now a name they couldn't escape. 3 years after being fired, I stood on a stage in London, accepting an award for innovation. FixEasy was a global brand, with 5 million users and academies in 10 countries. I'd just launched a scholarship for underprivileged kids to learn tech and mechanics. My speech was about resilience, about turning pain into power. The crowd roared. Backstage, Tara hugged me. "You did it," she whispered. I had. But that night, I got a call from Raj. He was sick, asking to see me. I flew back, conflicted. At his house, he looked frail. Neha was there, quieter than I'd ever seen. Raj apologized again, saying he'd been wrong about me. Neha admitted she'd been selfish, caught up in her father's expectations. I listened, nodded, but didn't absolve them. I'd moved on, but the scars remained. I paid for Raj's medical bills, anonymously. It wasn't forgiveness, it was closure. Back at work, I focused on the future. FixEasy was going public, and I was writing a book about my journey. I wanted to inspire others, show them they could rise above betrayal. My academies were training thousands now, and I mentored kids personally, seeing myself in their hungry eyes. Tara and I married in a quiet ceremony, surrounded by our chosen family. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. FixEasy went public at a $500 million valuation. I was 30, a multi-millionaire, but wealth wasn't the point. My academies were changing lives, my app was empowering workers, and my story was inspiring millions. I got letters from kids who'd learned to code because of me, from mechanics who'd started their own businesses with FixEasy. Raj passed away, and I attended his funeral, standing in the back. Neha thanked me for helping with his bills. We talked, not as family, but as people who'd hurt each other and were trying to heal. I wished her well. My book, From Fired to First, became a bestseller. I toured the world, speaking about grit and second chances. Tara and I started a family, and I named our son Sanjay, after my first believer. FixEasy was in 50 countries now, with 10 million users. I stepped back as CEO, letting Sanjay take over, while I focused on philanthropy. My academies trained 10,000 kids a year, free of charge. I'd turned my pain into a legacy. Raj and Neha had no idea who I was when they cast me out. Now, the world knew. And I was just getting started.